Ich bin in einer Bahn nach Nürnberg gegangen. Ich sprach mit einem Ehepaar an der Bahn. Sie heißen Manfred und Clara. Sie lebten in der DDR. Ich fragte, wie war Leben in der DDR? Meine erste Frage. Meine erste Frage, wie war Leben in der DDR? Manfred sagt, es war sehr schwer, aber wir lebten ein gutes Leben. Wir waren Lehrerinnen. Lehr Lehrerinnen. Manfred lehrte Sport, Sportunterricht und Clara lehrte Russisch. Ich fragte ihnen, warum sind meine Freunde heute sympathisch zu Kommunismus? Sie sie sagten, deine Freunde mag, was sie haben nicht. Deine Freunde deine Freunde mögen, was sie haben nicht. So I met this couple on the train on the way to Nuremberg, and my first question was to them. I didn't know they had their suitcases. I didn't know when they were leaving, when their next stop was. So I thought, right away I had to ask this question: how was life like in the DDR? And they said it was a tough, but we had a good life. We were both teachers. I taught sport education, and my wife taught uh, uh, Russian. So I asked him, was it hard to adjust afterwards? And he's like, oh yes, we still have our old habits. We didn't have kids until after the wall fell because we didn't want our kids to grow up and we didn't want us to have kids in this time to grow up in communism, so we decided not to have kids as a married couple. But when the wall fell, we tried to have kids. But I believe they said they either adopted kids. They have one child, a daughter in Idaho. She goes to Boise State. So I believe they were 60 now. So I believe they had a child or they adopted. I really couldn't tell. My German wasn't that great. Within the first 2 weeks of I met them, and I asked them, what was it? I asked him so many questions. So have you done any traveling? He's like, oh yes, every year we go to a new place. We go to the few years we went to Western Europe. Lately we've been going to the United States and South America because we want to see the world because we were denied it for so long by our government. And that's something I can never understand. Like I cannot understand how a government can do that because I'm part of that generation who didn't grow up with the Soviet Union. But at the same time, I'm from a heritage of Iran where the government is really restrictive if they want to be, and they are restrictive. So I know of it, but I've never experienced it. I never experienced it daily. I've always either experienced it as a tourist or from stories. I've never experienced it directly. From a government prohibiting me from doing something. But, so what did I learn from this? Specifically, why do I have friends who are sympathetic toward Marxism and communism? And the guy said to me, well, Marxism and Leninism and Stalinism are not the same. They're not the same. So you have to tell your friends to be more educated. What do they mean when they're sympathetic to communism? Do they mean Leninism? Do they mean Stalinism? Do they mean Marxism? Or do they mean socialism? Because we confuse socialism with communism. We confuse Leninism and Stalinism with communism, or we associate that communism is only Stalinism, communism is only Maoism, period. So you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? What do you mean by sympathetic? So what I took from it was the importance to being uh, more properly correct, more about when you say something, do you understand the implications of when you say this? Let's go back to communism. If I say my friends are communists, they have to ask themselves, what kind of communist am I? What does communism mean? and what does it mean to me, and what did it mean, and should I change the definition of it? So that's what I took from it, more clarification. I hope that they said that as soon as the wall fell, they took English classes right away. And their English was really good. They didn't know some words, but they're 60 and they can have a conversation with people from America. And they taught me some German. They taught me great techniques to learn German. They said even if you know an answer to a question, just go up to someone and ask it in German. Period. Go to restaurants, go to the cafe shops, go to the parks, talk to locals, and that's what I did. And I'm glad I did. And most of these videos that I've made before are because of the advice they gave me. So I'm very grateful to Manfred and Clara, and I'll see you guys later for another video. Bye.